The world watched in disbelief as Russian forces surged across the Ukrainian border in February 2022, a moment that marked a significant escalation in global tensions and a stark reminder of the fragility of peace. This aggressive move shattered decades of relative peace in Europe, bringing back memories of past conflicts and the devastation they wrought. France, a nation with a deep-rooted commitment to diplomacy and international order, immediately condemned the aggression. French President Emmanuel Macron, along with other French politicians, pledged unwavering support for Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity, emphasizing the importance of standing united against such violations. This conflict has tested the very foundations of European security, and France has emerged as a pivotal player in navigating this complex crisis. French leaders have been at the forefront of European Union meetings and security summits, working tirelessly to forge a collective response. France's role in this conflict extends far beyond its geographical proximity to the conflict zone. Its influence is felt through its leadership within the European Union and its strategic position in NATO. As a founding member of the European Union and a key player within NATO, France carries significant weight on the international stage. Its actions and decisions are closely watched and have far-reaching implications. The country's diplomatic efforts, military assistance, and unwavering support for Ukraine's right to self-determination underscore its commitment to upholding the principles of democracy and international law. French military aid has been crucial in bolstering Ukraine's defenses, while diplomatic efforts continue to seek a peaceful resolution. France's response to the Ukraine crisis is deeply rooted in its own history. Having experienced the horrors of war and occupation firsthand during World War II, the nation understands the profound impact of conflict and the importance of standing against aggression. The echoes of past conflicts resonate deeply within French society, fueling a strong sense of solidarity with the Ukrainian people. Across France, citizens have taken to the streets in solidarity marches, and Ukrainian flags are a common sight in many cities. This historical perspective shapes France's unwavering belief in the importance of diplomacy, dialogue, and a rules-based international order. French diplomats are actively engaged in dialogue sessions, drawing on a long history of diplomatic efforts to seek peaceful solutions. France's commitment to a peaceful resolution in Ukraine is unwavering. French leaders have been instrumental in peace talks and international peace conferences, advocating for a solution that respects Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity. However, the country also recognizes the need to provide Ukraine with the means to defend itself against Russian aggression. French military equipment is being prepared for shipment, and French soldiers are actively involved in training Ukrainian troops. This multifaceted approach, balancing diplomacy with military support, highlights France's determination to stand by Ukraine and deter further conflict in Europe. By combining these strategies, France aims to ensure a stable and secure future for the region, demonstrating its steadfast commitment to peace and sovereignty. The seeds of the current conflict were sown years earlier, with Russia's annexation of Crimea in 2014, serving as a stark warning sign. This bold move by Russia was not just a territorial grab, but a clear message to the world about its intentions and willingness to defy international norms. The international community, caught off guard by the audacity of the move, struggled to formulate a cohesive response. Diplomatic efforts were made, sanctions were imposed, and countless meetings were held, but the annexation remained a fait accompli. The annexation, widely condemned as a violation of international law, marked a turning point in Russia-West relations and cast a long shadow over the region. It was a stark reminder of the fragility of international agreements and the ease with which they could be undermined. Fast forward to 2022, and the world watched in horror as Russian tanks rolled across the Ukrainian border, marking the beginning of a full-scale invasion. This was not just a continuation of past aggressions, but an escalation that threatened the very fabric of European stability. The images of destruction, displacement, and human suffering shocked the global conscience, prompting widespread condemnation and calls for a swift and decisive response. The humanitarian crisis that unfolded was unlike anything seen in Europe since World War II, with millions of Ukrainians forced to flee their homes. The invasion of Ukraine represented a blatant violation of international law and a direct challenge to the post-World War II security architecture that Europe had relied upon for decades. It was a wake-up call for many who had believed that such large-scale conflicts were a thing of the past. The Kremlin's actions sent shockwaves through the continent, shattering any illusions of lasting peace and prompting a reassessment of security priorities. European nations, once confident in their collective security arrangements, found themselves scrambling to bolster defenses and rethink strategies. France, along with its European partners, immediately condemned the invasion and imposed a series of sanctions aimed at crippling the Russian economy and pressuring Putin to change course. These measures, while significant, also highlighted the economic interdependencies that complicated the West's response. The response, while swift and unprecedented in its scope, underscored the complexities of confronting a nuclear-armed power and the delicate balancing act required to avoid further escalation. The world watched with bated breath, aware that any misstep could lead to a broader and more devastating conflict. From the outset of the conflict, French President Emmanuel Macron has positioned himself as a key intermediary between Russia and the West. His role has been pivotal in attempting to bridge the widening chasm between the two sides, a task fraught with complexities and high stakes. Recognizing the high stakes involved and the urgent need to de-escalate tensions, Macron engaged in a delicate diplomatic dance, balancing the need for firm condemnation of aggression with the necessity of keeping diplomatic channels open. Seeking to maintain open channels of communication with the Kremlin while simultaneously condemning the invasion and rallying support for Ukraine, Macron has walked a tightrope. His speeches have been clear in their denunciation of the invasion, yet he has also emphasized the importance of dialogue. Macron's diplomatic efforts have involved countless hours of phone calls with both Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. These conversations have been intense and frequent, reflecting the urgency of the situation. These conversations, often taking place against a backdrop of escalating violence, have focused on securing humanitarian corridors, negotiating ceasefires, and finding ways to alleviate the suffering of civilians caught in the conflict. Macron has tirelessly sought a diplomatic path to end the bloodshed, understanding that every moment of delay results in more lives lost and more destruction. While some have criticized Macron's approach as naive or overly conciliatory, others argue that maintaining dialogue with Putin, however difficult, is essential to preventing further escalation and ultimately finding a negotiated settlement. The debate over his strategy is ongoing, reflecting the complexity of the situation. The French president has repeatedly emphasized that there is no military solution to the conflict and that dialogue, while challenging, remains the only viable path to peace. His stance is rooted in a deep belief in diplomacy and negotiation. Macron's diplomatic efforts have not been limited to bilateral talks with Russia and Ukraine. He has also been active on the multilateral stage, engaging with various international bodies and leaders. He has also worked tirelessly to maintain transatlantic unity, understanding that a fragmented response would only embolden Russian aggression. His efforts have been crucial in keeping the alliance strong and coordinated. Coordinating closely with US President Joe Biden and other European leaders to ensure a united front in the face of Russian aggression, Macron's role has been indispensable. His leadership has been a cornerstone in the collective effort to address the crisis, demonstrating the power of unity and diplomacy in the face of adversity. Section 4. Bolstering Ukraine's defenses. A look at France's military aid. Beyond diplomacy, France has also provided substantial military aid to Ukraine, recognizing the country's right to defend itself against Russian aggression. This assistance has taken various forms, ranging from lethal weaponry to intelligence sharing and logistical support. France has supplied Ukraine with a range of military equipment, including anti-tank missiles, armored vehicles, and artillery systems. These weapons have proven crucial in bolstering Ukraine's defenses and slowing the Russian advance. The French government has also provided training to Ukrainian soldiers on the use of this equipment, ensuring its effectiveness on the battlefield. In addition to direct military aid, France has also played a key role in facilitating the transfer of weapons from other countries to Ukraine. This has involved coordinating logistics, providing financial assistance, and working with allies to overcome legal and political hurdles that might hinder the flow of weapons to the front lines. France's decision to provide military support to Ukraine marked a significant shift in its foreign policy. Traditionally hesitant to supply arms to conflict zones, France recognized the exceptional circumstances of the Ukraine crisis and the need to provide Ukraine with the means to defend its sovereignty and territorial integrity. Section 5. A united front. France's role in shaping a coordinated European response. France has been instrumental in fostering a united European response to the Ukraine crisis. Recognizing that a divided Europe would play into Putin's hands, France has worked tirelessly to bridge internal divisions and forge a common front in support of Ukraine. France has played a leading role in shaping the European Union's response to the conflict, pushing for swift and decisive sanctions against Russia, and providing substantial financial assistance to Ukraine. The country has also advocated for increased defense spending among EU member states, recognizing the need for a more robust European defense posture in the wake of Russian aggression. Macron has repeatedly emphasized the need for Europe to reduce its reliance on the United States for its security, and to take greater responsibility for its own defense. The Ukraine crisis, he argues, has exposed the continent's vulnerabilities and underscored the need for a more sovereign and strategically autonomous Europe. France's vision for a stronger Europe extends beyond the realm of defense. The country has also called for greater European cooperation on energy, seeking to reduce the continent's dependence on Russian gas and accelerate the transition to renewable energy sources.